Diana, and I'm one of the primary advisors for the Diocese of Westminster Education Service. Today I'm talking to Sarah, who is a representative from an organization called Papyrus. Sarah, thank you for agreeing to talk with me today.
Good morning. Thank you for having me this morning. It's lovely to see you. I'm Sarah. As you say, Diana, I'm from an organisation called Papyrus, Prevention of Young Suicide, and we support individuals experiencing thoughts of suicide who are under the age of 35. We also work with anybody that's worried about them, so that could be a friend, a sibling, a grandparent, a carer, and we will support, advice and guide you around that too. And we also support professionals, whether that's part of a debriefing service or they just like to know more about suicide prevention. And we do that through supporting people, we equip people, and we also influence as well. So that's supporting people in their communities to influence others, and it can also be influencing government at a higher level as well. So they're just some of the things that we do.
Wow, it sounds like Papyrus has lots of things that they can offer both our schools, our families, and our young people. Your main aim is suicide prevention. Can you tell me how you can assist, what kind of resources we could access, and how would they go about getting hold of somebody from Papyrus to help them?
Brilliant. Yeah, so one of the big places and spaces that we have is our website. It sounds quite a simple thing for people to type that into Google these days, but there's loads of information on there. There's loads of downloadable resources that you can access, and we've also got a YouTube channel, and there's a film called Spot the Signs that I think you may have an opportunity to have a look at, and that's all available to you for free. One of the big things that we have for schools in particular is a downloadable resource, our Schools and Colleges Guide, and that's got loads of information around suicide prevention, specifically aimed at schools and colleges. So that covers a range of different things, from looking at prevention, intervention, and should the worst happen and a postvention response is required. There's also loads of additional advice around policy making for schools in there, and about language and how to approach language. Suicide is actually part of the curriculum. If you think about English literature at GCSEs, Romeo and Juliet, they're one of the things that people are, you cover suicide in there. So we provide some advice and guidance as well. We're currently working with some of the exam boards to provide support about how to teach that particular text within the classroom, and provide some support around maybe answering any difficult questions that people may have too. We also offer training as well, so that's available whether you're part of a school, a college, a university, you're a member of the public and you'd like to know more about suicide prevention. And there's everything ranging from suicide awareness, which is a 30-minute presentation, to learning about just recognising the signs, to learning more about how to ask the question, and then a 2-day course which teaches you about how to manage an intervention. So that's just some of the things that we offer to schools and colleges in particular.
Okay, but it sounds like we're talking about prevention. Okay, so supposing I know someone who is thinking about suicide, what can I do? How can I reach out to them? Where can I find out how to be a good friend?
So one of the big resources that we have is something called Hopeline UK, and that's a support service for, as I say, anybody who's under the age of 35 that's experiencing thoughts of suicide. And if you were that person that was worried about them, you could contact one of our advisors and they could speak through how you would manage that situation, address some of your own worries and concerns, and discuss with you about how you could best support that person. I think the biggest advice we would say is listen, and don't be afraid to ask that question. If you're worried about somebody, use the word suicide. Say, are you experiencing thoughts of suicide? Because by doing that, you're creating an environment where people will start to feel open about it. You're not putting a stigma on things. You're actually helping to break the stigma, and helping to normalise that experience that young person is having.
Supposing in a year's time, I know somebody who committed suicide this year, is it still worth me getting in touch with you? Even then, can you still help support me?
Absolutely. Papyrus is for you whenever you need us, whether it's 1 year, 2 year, 5 years, we're here to support you in whatever way that you need. In terms of suicide, and when somebody ends their life through suicide, it's a real, often can be a real shock to people. And I think that the trauma and the grief process can sometimes look a little different. And sometimes people can still have that stigma around wanting to talk about their loved one 1 or 2 years afterwards. People are thinking, should I be over this by now? Should I still be thinking about that person? And we're here to support you, no matter how long those feelings have been there for. It's also really important in terms of prevention to offer that service to people that have been bereaved by suicide, because those who have been bereaved by suicide their own risk of suicidality can also increase after that time too. So it's really important to talk about postvention support in the context of prevention too.
I'm a shy person. I don't want people to overhear me talking to you. Is there another way I can reach out confidentially?
Absolutely. So Hopeline UK is a free confidential service, and you can access us through phone and as you say. But other young people or a professional, if you're on a busy train or you're on a plane or wherever, if you can get to us, you can send us an email, you can text us, and you can also, as I say, phone us if that's something that works for you as well. So there are those alternative ways. You may have to wait a little while to go on a plane at this point, I'm not sure, but
you mentioned earlier about training opportunities for teachers. Now, I'm very interested. So what training opportunities so that I can help as many people do you provide?
So in terms of training, we have the 4 levels of training that I discussed before. So we have it's called Spark. So that's about awareness training, suicide prevention, awareness, resources and knowledge. We have SPOTS, that's suicide prevention overview training. That's just 90 minutes for you to learn a little bit more about suicide and starting to explore some of your own attitudes and the language around suicide too. We also have Speak, so that's a 3.5-hour session, and that's suicide prevention, explore, ask and keep safe. And the premise of that is encouraging you to ask that question, are you experiencing thoughts of suicide? And then we also run a 2-day program called Assist, and that's applied suicide intervention skills training, and that's where you can learn about how to perform that suicide intervention with confidence, and then learning about a particular model.
I think people think about suicide as being, I'm alone, nobody can help me. And from what you're saying is that it seems your fundamental thing is to say, no, you're not alone. There is a voice that was willing to listen, and we might not, as you said, have all the answers, but we can signpost you to where you can find them. Is that kind of a good summation?
Absolutely, and I think there is always hope. There's a reason why our support service, our support helpline, is called Hopeline UK. There's always hope for people, and that's what we want to say. And our service, Hopeline UK, aims to keep people safe for now. We're asking people sometimes, you don't have to make this decision right now. Let's just talk about, how do we keep you safe? You sound like there's a little bit of uncertainty there for you. Let's try and work together so that we can give you that space that you need at this particular time. And that's one of the big things that we say to people. And I think a lot of people can feel a huge amount of stigma about talking about how they're feeling. But there are many people who live with thoughts of suicide every day, and have lots of different ways to keep themselves safe, whether that's Hopeline UK, it's a parent or carer, it's their support systems in school, it's a mental health professional. It could be the lollipop lady that just says hello to you every morning, and that makes you feel seen and valued. And so don't underestimate the smile that you give to a stranger, or the kindness that you offer to somebody when you notice that maybe they're not their usual self that day, because that can sometimes be enough for people to feel, as I say, heard, seen and valued. And that's so important at this time. People are not alone. And we're there to offer hope and support to people that feel in that situation.
So on this presentation, where can I get the phone number and the text information?
So I believe this is going to be on your YouTube channel, so I would encourage you to look at the description below, and that'll have all of our details there, our website, our telephone number, the number for Hopeline UK. It's also available on our website, Papyrus. If you type us in, Papyrus Prevention of Young Suicide, into Google, you can find us there pretty easily too.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I know personally I'm going to reach out because I'm very interested in your training, and we've talked about different opportunities that faith schools can access some forms. I know the pot is limited, But if people are interested, they should reach out as well as people who want to support people through not COVID, but through life, really. We're talking about supporting people through life. And, I've really enjoyed meeting you and talking to you. And thank you for highlighting the important work that Papyrus does.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been a brilliant opportunity to meet with you and to be able to talk about what we do. And hopefully just if one person remembers about Papyrus at a time when they're feeling on their own and they need some support, then it's absolutely worth it. So thank you so much for having us today. And it's been lovely to meet you too. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Just get an Americano steak out, please.
I'm not really going to do that, are you?
It's how I feel.
Is it actually how you feel?
Yeah, it's actually how I feel.
I don't know you, but that just really saw it, and it just impacted me a lot.
Are you seeing anybody about this?
No.
Why are you putting this on?
What have you got that on yourself?
I'm just not feeling so great at the minute. I just feel like I've not really got much choice.